Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday. Oh, God. Happy Saturday, everyone. I came on like ready to go, and then I said, Sunday. Happy Saturday, everyone. The sun is shining here. It's a great Saturday afternoon. It is not humid out. It's perfect. It's beautiful. But that guy is still in the White House, so that kind of sucks. But if you are joining me and you're not outside in this great weather, thank you for taking some time out of your day. I think I like Saturdays better than Thursday. I was doing Thursdays at 7 p.m. It just became too hectic and too crazy with, kids and their sports. I wake up so early in the morning, getting tired. I do the black and white show with Brian Rundo Tuesdays at 7 p.m. I run a Dems United group on Twitter, X. So it's just a lot going on. So this time is perfect. I can juggle a Saturday afternoon and I don't look as tired. Anyway, I don't want to take up all of your day, but before we get started, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell because, of course, I'm not always consistent with the every Saturday or every whatever time to come on. Sometimes I'm a little sporadic. I may come on earlier. I may come on later. It just depends on what's happening and just what my soul is telling me. Anyway, but enough of that already. We have gotten through another week of the madness. So let's talk about some of the things. I'm not going to get to all of the things because we will be here until, I don't know, next Saturday if we talked about all of the craziness that's going on. But let's just stay focused with like the main things that happened last week. Let's start off with the CDC, right? I believe a couple of weeks ago, RFK Jr. testified at the Capitol about vaccines, just the regular nonsense that RFK speaks about and what he stands for. He was questioned about firing the 17 members of the CDC panel, the people who make recommendations that are made up of scientists and doctors, and he fired them. And he has installed his own lackeys, people who are non-doctors, conspiracy theorists, non-scientists. He may have a couple of doctors, but the doctors are very controversial, and using doctor very loosely. So he was on there being questioned about those things because, Senator Kennedy questioned him, really hard because Senator Kennedy is actually a doctor. And RFK Jr. had promised him, I am not going to change anything. Why would I do that? And of course, they are. We'll get into the changes in a minute, but he just lied about a lot of things. And Senator Kennedy, I think it's Senator Kennedy, oh, maybe it's Senator Cassidy. One of them is the doctor, and asked, it was his vote that got RFK Jr. where he is. Again, jump in the chat and correct me, please, because my memory also is kind of crazy for all of these things. And sometimes these senators, these lawmakers, all of the stuff gets confused because it's so much. So I can't even remember if it's Senator Kennedy or Cassidy that's the doctor, but please let me know which one it is. Anyway, so last week we had two high-ranking officials testifying at the Capitol. They worked for the CDC. One was fired and one resigned because of the shenanigans going on. The one that was fired was the appointee of Donald Trump. She was fired because she would not sign off on some lies, right? Like conspiracy theories that RFK Jr. and his folks wanted her to sign off on. So she ended up being fired. So let's just, I don't know what we want to get into today. First, you know what? Let's get into the two officials, the two high-ranking officials, the one that was fired and the one that resigned. Let's start there. Let's hear from them.
Doubt that my role will be replaced by a political.
May I stop you there? You're the last career. So then are you saying that everyone that is remaining
in the
is
office of the director is a political? Yes.
Is a political. And so there is nobody then that is, there must be somebody that is providing that career science then.
A level down, we do have center directors, although 80% are now acting because they've been fired, resigned, or retired.
Dr. Menares, were you ever directed to not speak to career officials? Was that a directive that you received?
That was.
And when was that? When were you directed to not speak to career officials?
Yeah, that transpired over the course of August 25th in the engagements with Secretary Kennedy, and that I was directed to only work with the political appointees that he had put in place at CDC, and not to speak or work with career scientists.
What you just saw was testimony from two high-level officials who worked inside CDC under RFK Jr. And before I go on, let me explain something. Within our public health agencies, including the CDC, there are career scientists and staff that are the backbone of the agency. Many of them are there for decades through both Republican and Democrat administrations.
Forgive my bad editing. I really did not have time to check over this. And as I'm looking at it, so I'm like, oh, yeah, I could have done a way better job. But carry on.
And they're hired for their specific expertise. Then there are political appointees, temporary leaders chosen by the administration in power. Some are scientists, many are not, and they usually leave with the administration. One of those career scientists was Dr. Deb Howry, who served under 4 different presidents and 6 CDC directors before resigning last month. Today, she testified that she was the last career scientist in RFK Jr.'s office. And she said that most of the CDC's top scientific leaders have either been fired, resigned, or retired. We also heard from the former CDC director, a political appointee who RFK Jr. fired last month. She testified that she was explicitly directed to only work with the political appointees RFK Jr. had instated at the CDC and not speak to or work with any career scientists. This is what many of us feared, but what we found out today literally could not be worse. RFK Jr. is only working with political appointees and his own people. He's not listening to or working with career scientists with strong subject matter expertise. He's explicitly instructing his people to not even speak to scientists at the CDC. He instructed the director of the CDC to not speak to any career scientists or Congress. And he's making changes to the vaccine schedule based on ideology, having not disclosed any actual evidence. This is extremely concerning, and it puts us all at risk.
Right, because what they want to do is stir the pot, right? Like make people anxious. It's almost like, well, we're not taking vaccines away, but what they're doing is making vaccines harder to access and also making a whole new level of vaccine skeptics, right? Like, so that's what all of this stuff is doing. Like at the end of the day, you're making vaccine skeptics. You're making more people scratch their heads because the more you're like, oh, we're changing this. Oh, no, we're not going to change. Right? Like all of this back and forth just makes people go, you know what? I'm just not going to get my kids vaccinated. And that's just the low level of what's going on. Like that's at the bottom of all of the nonsense. At the top is just like create this so that people just don't get their kids vaccinated. Like, why not? Because that's just it's like a great experimentation. Anyway, before we move on to something else, I just wanted to talk about just the data, because I know like week after week, I come on here and I talk about RFK Jr. and I talk about vaccines. And once again, adults can do what they want. And I feel so strongly about this is because children are going to suffer, like the ones that don't have a voice in this, right? Like the ones that cannot make the decisions for themselves. Those are the ones that are going to suffer. kids are probably like, hey, I know I hate shots, but what's the alternative here? Oh, that maybe I'll get the shot. Like, parents are making some wild decisions and they're not even doing research, because if you are making a decision based on what a non-doctor is telling you, something is wrong. Because when you need surgery, right? If you need surgery on your heart, you're not going to go to an eye surgeon. If you need orthopedic surgery, meaning your joints, your bones, you fractured your arm, you broke your leg, you're not going to go to a urologist. Like, there's specialties in this. So why would you listen to RFK Jr., who is not a doctor, he is not a scientist, he does not specialize in diseases, he has not studied as a scientist, he doesn't know the data. So why people are we listening to him? RFK Jr. is vaccinated. His children vaccinated. His grandchildren vaccinated. They are vaccinated. Remember during COVID, right? When we had no vaccines and millions of people were dying, and we were just all at home praying for vaccines, like could not wait, because we saw what was happening in New York. We saw like they were having, freezers for dead bodies outside of the hospitals because they were running out of room. Did we forget that was happening in different states? Why are we forgetting that happened? And when the vaccine came, it was only available to certain people first. I get that. The elderly, the affirmed, the disabled, the people with comorbidities, cancer patients, asthma patients, COPD. Like, I get that they needed the vaccines first, but guess who also got vaccines first? I remember Ron DeSantis. He and his buddies, they got vaccines first, right? These same Republicans that are complaining about vaccines, they made sure they lined up and they got them, and their kids got them, and their families got them, while they're telling you, you don't need them. You don't need them. Anyway, so just for data and statistics purposes, let's just let's back up before we get to the data. Let's get to, because the CDC, I think it was Thursday and Friday, they came up with their changes. So let's just talk about their changes, but not changes, right? Let's see, COVID shots are going to stay available. The CDC panel voted against making COVID vaccines prescription only. They're just not recommending them, which is going to make a difference again with what insurance companies pay for, right? So like, it's kind of staying the same, but they're taking the language out. Because again, at the end of the day, Republicans work for big pharma. That's who they answer to, just like they work for the NRA. They work for the gun suppliers. That's why we can't get gun reform in this country, right? Because Republicans, they're getting money from them. So if you think that RFK Jr. cares about Americans' bottom line and not big pharma's bottom line, you're sadly mistaken. He's not doing this because he's like, oh, I really want to make Americans healthy again. He's doing what he's doing because he really wants to save big pharma or insurance companies from having to pay for certain things. If it's not recommended, then they're like, well, if the CDC is not recommending that you have this, why would I pay for it? And this is kind of just the beginning, right? Because we really have to watch how this progresses into, because now we're talking about vaccines. This can go into mammograms. Do women need mammograms every single year? Do women need pap smears? How often should they get pap smears? Right? Because if the CDC changes, what they recommend, then the insurance company is going to say, well, if the health panel that RFK Jr. has picked says women don't need to have mammograms until they're in their 40s, and then they don't need to have them every year, then that means that we may have to pay out of our pockets to have the mammogram, right? Because it's in the wording, right? It's not necessarily what he's doing, because you could say, oh, well, he's saying you can still get your COVID shots and you don't need a vaccine for it, but they're not recommending it. So that gives insurance companies the leeway to go, maybe we'll pay for it, maybe we won't pay for it, right? It's giving them the option. Hidden in, oh no, I'm giving Americans have the option to choose opt in or out. That's not really what this is. So COVID shots stay available. The panel voted against making COVID vaccines prescription only, which it's the same as it was. They didn't change anything. Like, it was already like this before. They just changed what they recommended. Let's see. The annual booster is case by case. It's no longer framed. Everyone needs it. Again, if you want your booster vaccine, it's not recommended if you want it. So again, we're at the insurance company's mercy, right? Private insurance companies, for the most part, will probably continue to do what they've been doing. They'll pay for it. But people who fall under, Medicare and Medicaid, I don't know. That's iffy. How does that work now when you have the federal government not recommending it? How does that work for Medicare and Medicaid? Right? Are they still going to pay for it? I don't know. Let's see. Under the age of 4. Now, this is interesting to me. So under the age of 4, you're no longer going to get that one vaccine, when you're an infant, that one vaccine that contains the measles, mumps, rubella, and varicella for the chickenpox. So it deals with 4 diseases at once. It's one vaccine. So now they've changed that to, if you're under 4, you're going to get 2 separate vaccines. So now you're just going to get the, measles, and then you'll turn around and get one for the mumps and rubella, and then you have to come back to get the chickenpox separately. So for the people, MAGA, because I'm talking to you guys are saying it's too many vaccines, but right now before you were able to get just one and one and done. Now they've broken it up into like 3 vaccines. So the mumps, measles, and rubella is broken up into 2, right? And then you get the chickenpox separate. I don't know. Make it make sense. I don't know how that makes sense. Why? Because they're like, wow, there are some cases of seizures in infants when they get that one vaccine. Wow. Once again, it's the cases are very rare. Like, it rarely happens, the seizure part from fever. And if it does happen, there's no harm. So I don't understand all of this for absolutely nothing. Again, it's to make it worse and harder, like, and more confusing for people so that they're like, I just don't want it at all. Like, this doesn't make any sense for the people who don't want vaccines, think that we have too many. He's broken down one, you could get one vaccine that would deal with all of this. He's made it into 3 vaccines. Like, it's fucking mindless. It makes zero sense. Again, no sense at all. Hep B vaccines. Thank goodness they have tabled that. They have not changed that yet, because that would be crazy. They are thinking about, so Hep B causes issues to the liver, cirrhosis, liver cancer, all of those things. If a baby does not get Hep B and goes through the birth canal, and they're not immediately vaccinated for it, and if the mom had it, they will get it. And there is a 90% chance that that baby that contracted Hep B from the mom will end up with cirrhosis or liver cancer. 90%. 90%. Now, what RFK Jr. is playing with is that maybe we don't need to give the infant the vaccine right away. Maybe we can hold off. That's the crazy part, right? You cannot hold off because you don't know if mom gave it to infant. You have to inoculate that infant right away, because they test mommy, right? When she's pregnant, they test her in like the first trimester for it. Maybe she did not have Hep B in the first trimester. Maybe it was a false negative. She doesn't get tested again. So she may contract it later on in her pregnancy. Who knows? That is why once the baby is born, they're immediately inoculated from Hep B, because if they're not, there is a 90. We're not talking about 3%. We're talking about 90% chance that that infant has cirrhosis or liver cancer. And the data shows that adults with Hep B in their infancy, right? They get it in their infancy. They have cirrhosis or they end up with liver cancer. Just a done deal for them. That's just how it is. You're going to have a life of problems. So why would we even be looking to change that? Because we can? Oh, la, la, la. So there's a big measles thing going on too, because for some reason, not just MAGA, anti-vaxxers and people in general think that the measles vaccine, the ones that we were just talking about that infants get in the first stages, they supposed to get that one shot, measles, mumps, rubella, and varicella for chicken pox. Some people think that, the measles vaccines causes autism. And to be honest, I really think at this point, I think there's so much anti-vaccine, so many anti-vaxxers, because these people really don't know a time when there was no vaccines, right? Like, they don't know the time. They don't know before the 1960s. I don't either, but I read books. I watch videos. I see documentaries on what it was like prior to vaccines. So if you saw what it was like prior to vaccines, your ass would not be here talking about, I don't want it. You've just been so comfortable with the herd immunity that we have, where things have been eradicated, that you're so comfortable you can say, nah, I don't need it, because you don't see what it was prior to the vaccines. So before measles, before the measles vaccine, pre-1963. So before 1963, there were 3 to 4 million cases per year of the measles. Just think about this. Just let that marinate. Let it marinate. Let it sit there. Before the vaccine, there were 3 to 4 million cases of measles per year. How many deaths? Oh, I got that number. 400 to 500 deaths per year. Before the vaccine, 400 to 500 deaths per year just from the measles. We're not talking about chickenpox. We're not talking about anything from the measles. 48,000 people a year were hospitalized. After the vaccines, cases dropped by 99%. This is data. Just like I looked this up, anti-vaxxers, you can look this up too. Like, it's not made up. You just look it up. The data is there. Ask Grok if you need to, or Chat GPT. Look it up. It's there. By 2000, it was deemed eliminated. So by the year 2000, measles was eliminated. Now, let's see. 2024, there was a little over 200 cases, right? Because now we have the anti-vaxxers and they're not vaccinating their children anymore because now there's so many skeptics. So we went from the cases dropped by 99% to now we have a little over 200 in 2024. In 2025, we've had almost 1,500 cases of measles. I don't even, come on, people. Do better. Do better, people. Also, what happened this week, I think I spent way too much time on vaccines. I am sorry. Jimmy Kimmel, our freedom of speech is being attacked. Oh, goodness. It's true. It is. It's crazy. But it's been being attacked, right? Like it's been being attacked. Trump attacks freedom of speech since he's been in office. He attacked freedom of speech when he was in office the first time. That's just what he does. Now he's more ruthless about it, right? So Jimmy Kimmel is off air indefinitely. This follows Stephen Colbert being his show being canceled. The reason for the Colbert was they said the show, the viewership was down and all of the blah, blah, blah. With Jimmy Kimmel, it was, I don't know, his monologue about Charlie Kirk. Did y'all watch it? Did y'all see it? It wasn't so bad, was it? Like, it wasn't bad at all. And actually, he didn't say anything bad about Charlie Kirk. So what's really going on? So first, we're going to tackle it. We are going to watch the monologue, right? So you can see for yourself, just in case you missed it. Then we're going to hear Stephen Colbert's view of what happened. And then we're going to listen to Jessica from Fox News break it down, because it's not about the monologue at all. Of course not. It's about this administration using the power that they have to make different companies do what they want, bend to their will. We already know that Donald Trump does not like late night TV because they make fun of him, and he's so fragile and thin skinned. He hates it. So he wants them all off of air anyway. And not only that, there's another piece to him just not liking them teasing him. A lot of people get their news from, the Stephen Colbert's, Colbert's, or the Jimmy Kimmels, or the Fallons. Like, people watch late night TV and they get snippets of what's happening in the news. If Donald Trump and his administration can get rid of as many voices against him and put in pro-Trump voices, that's going to help him for the midterms. So this is pretty nefarious what's going on. It's just not, it's freedom of speech, but it's so much deeper than just that surface freedom of speech. They're trying to win elections. They're doing everything that they can to just suppress our votes and stop people from understanding what's really happening out here. And it's easy to understand what's happening if you have a comedian making fun of it, but also talking about it, because now you're getting it like, oh, shoot, I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't even know that was happening. So if he gets rid of that, then all you're hearing is TV controlled by conservatives, and they're going to give you what they want you to hear. I mean, when Biden was president, all we heard was about his declining condition, how old he was. Ain't it interesting that we don't hear that about Donald Trump? Not interesting. We don't see on the news if he falls down the stairs, going up the stairs, going on Air Force One. We don't hear about his rambling on any local news station on anything. You just don't see it. They don't even show it on Fox News, right? They only show him in a strong position. But why is that? So I digress. Let's listen to Jimmy Kimmel's monologue, and then we'll go back to that question about why is that?
Of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started.
Where's the lie? That actually happened. How you hurt and holding up, sir? Your best friend was murdered. I think good. By the way, the ballroom.
Started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. There's demolition, construction. This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish, okay? And
on President Xi when he comes over. If it rains, it's a wipeout. And so I was with the architects, it was designed to be incredible. And they came in, they said, Charlie Kirk is dead. I didn't know what they meant. I said, he was dead. Charlie Kirk was shot. And they thought he was dead because it was so horrific, you know. Mm-hmm. And I said, dead.
And then we installed the most beautiful chandelier, sconces you wouldn't believe.
So why is MAGA so mad? Like, why is MAGA so mad? What's the problem? What? He did not make fun of Charlie Kirk. He made fun of Donald Trump. No one is making fun of that man's death. That would be asinine, because that could happen to any of us. No one's making fun of it. But just because we're not making fun of it doesn't mean we're going to celebrate that man. making fun of Donald Trump, who said he's so hurt about it, but went to a game afterwards doing a circle jerk dance. Like, he's not sad. This is an opportunity to use a death. He doesn't care if you're dead or alive. If he can use you for political points, he is going to use you. And he is using the fuck out of Charlie Kirk. His widow probably thinks like, this is love, and this is how the administration is caring about her, dead husband. No, this is the administration using him to pit Democrats and Republicans against one another, because that is what they do, and that is the goal. Because as long as we continue to fight it out, they continue to rise. The little people are fighting each other. They continue to make all of the money. That's always been the plan. That's why they actually assassinated Black leaders and Martin Luther King, who wanted to get people together, because it's like, hey, we all poor. We're all suffering from these policies. We need to get together. When you start talking about that, that is what they don't like. So to keep us separated and make MAGA think that they are better than trans people and better than the LGBTQ community plus community and better than Black people and better than the immigrants and just better and better than everybody, they're not going to be on our team. They think they're better. Apparently, maybe they got a different type of Social Security system. Maybe it's a MAGA Social Security system where that's not going to be touched. Maybe they think that they got a MAGA Medicare where that's not going to be touched. I don't know. Somebody need to tell the MAGA farmers that maybe there's some type of MAGA farm bill that we don't know about, because the MAGA farmers are all crying because China's not buying any soybeans from America anymore because Donald Trump's tariffs. But y'all think that you're better than us. Like, you keep thinking mentally that you're better than us, but you're still being impacted just like us. You get impacted, we get impacted too. We're all being impacted by Trump's policies. But for some reason, y'all think y'all better than us when you're suffering as well. That's the crazy part of all of this. He keeps us divided on purpose. MAGA, y'all are crazy. There was one time when we all, Democrats, independents, people who just against Trump, tried to warn you that all of this stuff was going to happen, and you voted for this fool anyway. We tried to get you and grab you and say, no, come over here because you're going to suffer too. Blacks for Trumps, Cubans for Trumps, Latinos for Trumps, whatever. Y'all voted for this dude, and now you're like, whoa, wow, didn't know he was gonna do all this. Whoa, wow, didn't know he was gonna attack freedom of speech. Whoa, wow, didn't know he was gonna use the military for his freaking personal army. You didn't? You just thought you were better. Like, none of this would impact you. It's going to impact you. You can't run from it. But anyway, let's listen to Stephen Colbert, on Jimmy Kimmel. Not on the show, but speaking on him, about him, regarding him, relative to him.
Off the air. This decision came after senior executives at ABC, Disney, and affiliates convened emergency meetings during which multiple execs felt that Kimmel had not actually said anything over the line, but the threat of Trump administration retaliation loomed. As one source at ABC put it, they were pissing themselves all day. Oof. On the bright side, that proves Disney is #1 in streaming. Thank you. Now, this may seem bad, but Carr was quick to reassure everyone, posting, while this may be an unprecedented decision, it is important for broadcasters to push back on Disney programming that they determine falls short of community values. Well, you know what my community values are, Buster? Freedom of speech.
So Carr is the head of the FCC. And Carr, right before Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air indefinitely, was on a conservative podcast, a podcaster who, by the way, is being paid by Russia. Carr was on his podcast basically threatening them to take Kimmel off the air, threatening ABC. Basically, you know what to do. I mean, we do have your licenses, and if you're going to allow this kind of thing, what's to keep us from pulling your license? Trump was saying the same thing. Oh, what a coinky dink.
Or, as Alexander Hamilton called it, Hakuna Matata. People across the country are shocked by this blatant assault on the freedom of speech. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy posted this video of himself.
Stephen Colbert is gone. Jimmy Kimmel is gone.
He told me I was gone. I thought I could go.
Let's move this along. Let's have Jessica Tarlov sum it all up for us. Of course, better than I can. I really feel bad for Jessica. I cannot believe she's still on Fox News, but thank God she is on Fox News. I mean, maybe she'll reach someone who watches that show to say, wow, she's really got some good points here. I mean, hopefully she's doing that. And I got to think that's why she's staying there. She really is a true hero to have to sit around the table with a bunch of fools.
But the timeline just doesn't add up. To rewrite the story of how Jimmy Kimmel ended up being indefinitely suspended, to absolve Brendan Carr of his role in this and the government's larger role in it. But the timeline just doesn't add up. I've heard, well, read the Hollywood Reporter and read the Wall Street Journal on this. I looked through all of it, and the common denominator is that Brendan Carr said to Benny Johnson, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. And the affiliates, who were already freaking out about it for sure, decided then that they were going to pull it. And so ABC and Disney in general, Bob Iger, had no choice but to do it. There are some smart Republicans that are cautioning them to come back from this line. Ted Cruz, of all people, who's the chair of the Commerce Committee, which actually has oversight over the FCC, said what Carr said there is dangerous as hell. That's right out of a mafioso. When it's used to silence conservatives, we will regret it. We should denounce it. So I understand now we don't live in cancel culture. It's just consequence culture. And you think an eye for an eye is a good solution to everything. That's what I've seen pelted at me about this. Well, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did this. That is not a way to run a free society. And you can't just trample on the First Amendment because some.
So, eye for an eye, because that is what MAGA is saying. Well, you did it. Okay, let's clarify this a little bit. Cancel culture, that's what MAGA used to say, when liberals would be like, oh my God, you can't say this. You should be fired, blah, blah, blah. All right. So it's different if you have a bunch of trolls online doing cancel culture, right? Like going viral saying this person said this, they should be canceled. That's different than the government, the United States, the president, the head of the FCC chair, trolls versus the government threatening ABC or CBS with, I'm not going to let you do your merger if you don't take this person off the air. If you don't take this person, you can't do the merger. I have your broadcasting license right here. You want me to rip it up? That's different than a troll saying, you should get your job. You should be fired. Like, that's different. The Biden administration has never, ever ever gone to ABC or CBS and said, I am not going to approve your merger unless you take Fox News off the air. I almost wished he did, right? Because that would be fair. That's even. That's even Steven. That's how that works, right? So like you can't say what about, right? You're like, oh, somebody threw a pebble and then you throw a brick. Those are two different things. You can't be like, well, he threw something at me. Yeah, he threw a pebble. You threw a fucking brick or a boulder. Not the same. Not the same. What Trump is doing is wrong. Just like I would have said it was wrong if Biden pulled like Fox and Friends said, listen, if we don't get Hannity off the air for what he said, or what's the other one? Tucker Carlson off the air for what he said, because these people were saying some wild shit and lying. He never did it. Why? Because freedom of fucking speech. But Donald Trump, again, like I said, they don't want our voices heard. They only want conservative voices because we are going into the midterms. Conservative voices, they want Trump to be in power. They don't want us to see his decline. They don't want us to see the rambling. They don't want us to know about, all these, he's just randomly shooting, killing people in the water, just bombing boats. Like there are things that he just doesn't want us to ask or know about, right? So he wants to control the media on purpose. How do you do that? You start picking off the shows that are critical of you. And that's exactly what he's doing. And when we say control the media, we're talking about people like the Sinclair Group, who are conservatives, who own multiple local news stations, right? So someone was great enough to do this kind of like I don't know what you call it. It is a bunch of them together, like a collage of local media, and see how similar, like they all have the same script that they have to go off on. And it's a conservative script. Let's see, because we're talking about freedom of speech. There's nothing freedom about this speech. This is like friggin' Stepford Wives of local news stations.
Of biased and false news has become.
San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling and irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories that simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 First, thank you to whoever did that. Like, thank you. This is the Sinclair Group. This is what we're talking about. This is the bigger picture, right? Like the firing of Stephen Colbert and the indefinitely suspension of Jimmy Kimmel, and silencing one side. This is why, right? Because now they're buying up local stations, right? They're letting these mergers go through. They're letting, conservative people merge with this and eat up these companies. And now they're going to turn them into big conservative conglomerates. So that is all we hear day in, day out, in, out, wash and repeat. And we wonder why the last electorate was like the dumbest voters ever. They didn't know anything. That's why. Because at the end of the day, the conservatives are kind of controlling the media. And that's why I always say, like, stop blaming the lawmakers. Like, they're not getting out there. They're not, the voices aren't heard. I don't hear the message. Where are they? How the fuck are they cutting through that? Sinclair's owning it. How are we cutting through that? The only way that we cut through that, and Brian and I talk about it on the Black and White Show, is that we get our own media, right? Like we have our own, whether it's Midas Touch or whoever it is, that we could just get out there like that, because that's where we're losing it. We're losing it in the media, because they started with Fox News just owning it, right? And you can see them seeping into MSNBC, right? Because there's a new owner in town. So now how they do the news is different. How CNN does the news is different. I mean, each show, it's still reporting on the facts and the news, right? It's still doing that, but it's different. And I really do long for a time where years ago you had lawmakers would go on any show. It didn't matter, and just talk about whatever. And we could just disagree on the policies. But now Republican lawmakers do not tell the truth. Like, they're just not being truthful, because they can't be truthful, because if they're truthful, they get in trouble. Donald Trump is watching them, right? The ones that want to be truthful are the ones that are resigning. I mean, just think about it. I don't know how many Republicans have resigned and not coming back, but there's a lot. And there are a lot because they know they don't have control. It's like you're going to Congress to listen to the White House. You are at the DOJ to listen to the White House. It's supposed to be a separate entity. No more, no longer. That's just not how that works. So with what I just showed you, we know that local media is washed. I watch local media so I can just know what the weather's going to be, if my train is going to be on time, and what's happened locally. If they start to talk about what's happening in Washington, I'm not listening to that, right? Because they're only going to report what the White House is giving, right? And they're giving lies. We're not even going to get truthful job reports at some point. It's just lies. So, skin bad. Anyway, meanwhile, let's go, if we can finish in like 5-10 minutes. Let's see what ICE is doing, because they got to be doing something. What ICE out here doing? Let's see. Doing while she's down.
That was really cool, guys. You guys are super cool for that. Wow. Big tough man. Thank you. Big tough guys. She's getting your sign. She's getting your sign. Go get it for her. Go get it for her. Give me your sign. Give me your sign now. Give me your sign now. Fall down. You're gonna need some shit. You already got me earlier. You have to. It's gonna get worse. It's gonna get worse. Get her up. not threatening anyone. We're not threatening anyone.
Move out! Move out!
Move out! How is she supposed to move? How is she supposed to move?
You shoot her
Shoot
in the face!
Let's Right there, that's good. Get your boy! What the fuck is wrong with you? You said get off the property, you did! You got off the property! You coming over there! Get your boy! Get your boy!
What else are they doing? Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Let's rewind. Gotta get all these criminals. Gotta get all these gang members. They're getting the gang members, aren't they? Brutalizing women. Old women. Women. That's ICE. Dude put her in a headlock. Like, his other ICE people had to say, yo, stop, you're going too far. Right? Because these are a bunch of misogynist, racist, Nazi pigs. They're just angry. Angry with the fucking job that they have. Angry at people they hate. They're perfect for ICE. They don't care about anyone. This is a woman. She's protesting. Like, literally, 3 or 4 of y'all could have just took her by her arms, picked her up, moved her to the street. Why are we like throwing her to the ground? Why are we then, when she's on the ground, we're shooting her with sting pellets? Like, why are we doing that? You got a pedophile in office and you're not even, no one even cares. Everyone's just looking at that like, well, whatever. We don't care. But her, oh my God, protester, that's the enemy, because we don't want protesters. We don't want anyone to know what's going on inside of those ICE detention centers. Yeah. You know, and then it's just so bad. Where are the gang members? Again, where are the gang members? Where are they at? Because I don't see them in this equation. We're just picking people up. And people are protesting and acting this way, right? Like, this woman is not in a vacuum. She's just not like, let me just wake up one morning and let me go down to an ICE detention center. People are protesting because people are being disappeared. Like, we're leaving children on streets and taking their parents or their siblings and not even telling them where they are. I just read that a man who was set to have brain surgery was taken into an ICE facility. His family had no idea. No one contacted the family. Like, how are we doing this? So he's just there. And the only reason that the family knew was because he had to go to the emergency room because he had gotten so sick and they got a bill. That's how they knew where he was. Other than that, they didn't know where he was. So when we say disappearing people, they get upset. Like, no, we're not. How are you not? Even here in Massachusetts, they just picked up a 16-year-old who was just driving a car. Just driving. He didn't do anything bad. It was just driving. Why'd they stop him? He wasn't speeding. You run a light. He looked the part. He looked Latino. Let's take our chances. Just picked him up and detained him. Because that's what they do. When they're not slamming old women, that is what they're doing. When they're not slamming old women, they're picking up kids. Again, not the gang members. Never that. ICE comes to neighborhoods They go to not the neighborhoods where the gangs are. We're going to go to the families. Because again, these are a bunch of cowards and a bunch of punks. We slamming kids and women. Fuck that. Yeah. Right? But the real crime, then what you mean? Crime where? We dealing with the crime. This is immigrants. They're the crime. They're the criminals. They're all the immigrants. They're the criminals. Ah, God. Let's move on. Lastly, Kash Patel. Let's go there. He testified on the Capitol, I guess, about the Epstein file, blah, 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 blah. He was there. Kash Patel acts like he doesn't know anything, although him and his buddy, Bondito, they swore up and down they were going to release the file. We got the file. We gotta get the pedophiles. It's a pedophile ring. We're going to release all the names. And now Kash Patel knows nothing. He said none of them know anything. It's like there's no file, no nothing. We don't know. Hey, blame it on the judge. The judge wouldn't let us release it. It's like, no. The judge said what we have in the court system, we're not going to release because one, you already have it, and two, we don't want the people's names and it's only testimony, right? You actually have the file, FBI director. You and Bondi actually have the names. You have the files, right? Because Bondi told Trump he's all over it, right? So his name is redacted. He's in it, but they just don't want to tell us that he's in it. And they don't want to tell us not only Trump, okay, but there's other people that's in it. Whether they're Democrats or Republican, who cares? If they're pedophiles, they're pedophiles. Pedophilia should not have a political ring to it. We shouldn't be using that as a weapon. It shouldn't be like, well, Democrats, well, Republicans. No, pedophiles, whether Bill Clinton's name's all over it too, he doesn't get a pass because he's a Democrat. What's wrong with y'all? What's wrong with y'all? But anyway, some of my favorite parts of the stupid, nonsensical testimony of Kash Patel, who didn't know who Dylan Roof was, and he is the FBI director. Not sure how you don't know who a domestic terrorist was, who walked into a church and killed 9 Black people, but maybe that's why you try to act like you don't know who he is, because he's a white guy that did it, and Kash Patel is working for, the white supremacists. So he has to act like this. But let's just get a piece of what went on.
Want to say anything?
Yes, sir.
Boyd?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes, sir.
Boyd?
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my
I follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tears
my
this country
time
apart.
to address
There should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh,
You
sir,
are an
you can
embarrassment
try all
to the
you
division
want
in this
to
country.
not
Senator,
take
it is
responsibility
my time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making a
time is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what my
you
time
tell-
is.
Senator-
You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my time's
you have-
over?
You may be the charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you. sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
So that was hard to listen to. I personally don't like it because it's crazy. However, Kash Patel is smug. He's a punk. He's the guy who's like, hey, when do I get my badge and my service revolver because I'm the FBI director? He's over his skis. He doesn't know what he's doing. When Charlie Kirk was murdered, not Kash Patel's fault that he was at a restaurant, but he could have left the restaurant if he's going to be tweeting out on social media about the case, which is kind of crazy too, because I've never, just in the history of administrations, seen such unqualified people who tweet policy, who tweet about investigations. It's just even before like there are indictments, even before this person was charged, you had Bondi and all these people tweeting about, like, it's just, the inexperience is crazy because they don't care about any of these things. They care about going viral. They care about the likes, the clicks, and just soothing the base and making the base think like, oh my God, they're doing something great, when, oh my God, shut the fuck up already. Like, if there's an investigation, shut up about it. Like, that's how you know their investigations are bullshit, right? It's always bullshit. They never have any friggin' evidence. They just say, we're investigating Joe Schmo. Just so you know, we're investigating Letitia James, mortgage fraud, right? Like, what? They haven't proved it. They don't have it. The judge is like, I cannot bring this. Judge, there's nothing on judge for Letitia James and James Comey. I can't do anything. What do? We're going to fire you because you can't find anything. You can't make anything up. Lisa Cook, they tried to get rid of from the Fed, right? Oh no, she claimed 2 properties as her primary. Did she though? No, she did not, right? They just say and make shit up because they don't care. They just want an investigation because the goal is to shame, to embarrass, and to make them just like suffer and have to spend all this money defending themselves. And if you don't have a lot of money, then it's hard for you to even defend yourselves from these frivolous allegations, because this is what happens. I mean, just yesterday or the day before, the judge threw out their like complaint against was it New York Times that he sued, like yeah, because the judge was like, they didn't even get to the facts of the case until page 80. The first 80 pages was about how great Donald Trump was. But we're suing over, them saying that he wrote that birthday note. So that's why he's pissed, right? Like, I didn't do it. They should be sued because they reported on it. Like, oh my God, this is just nonsense. Yeah, and Cash Patel is disrespectful. But I love our girl Jasmine Crockett because she suffers no fools. And I'm just going to play it because, again, Cash Patel grates my nerves. So anyone like bashing him is okay in my book because he's just worthless and he's a fool. And he actually is a DEI hire.
FBI director in this one because I did have to make sure that I wasn't going crazy. But when I say that you are the least qualified FBI director in the history of the FBI, that is real because you are the only one that never even served with the FBI prior to joining. Yet we are supposed to believe that you are the greatest thing since sliced bread. I didn't ask you a question. Now, what I want to go through is to talk about why you are a failure and why, honestly, we just need to tell you bye-bye. I know that you got a little upset and you put on your show for your boss because it seems like you're trying to save your job when it came to talking to Senator Booker yesterday.
I've got but one thing to say.
Yeah, that was funny. So one more on Cash Patel with his lies. I don't know. Let me see if I have it.
I announced at the beginning of...
No. How unfortunate. 1 second, because I do know that I have it. 1 minute. Bear with me 1 second. And this will end it. I swear it'll be over. Give me 1 second. It's over. I swear. 30 seconds. Look at that. 30 seconds. 1 minute. We're going to get there. Or is that 30 seconds? Nope. That's 58. 58 seconds. Oh, you know what? Maybe I don't have enough. Hold. What we're going to do is we're going remove one, and then we're going to add one. There we go. Hold. Because the whole purpose of Kash Patel being on the Capitol was to testify about the Epstein file, and I wanted to get some of his testimony.
You said you don't know the number.
Okay, so yes, we're going to end it with Kash Patel's testimony and the reason why he was on the Capitol to testify about the Epstein files. So this is very important. So wait, here we go. And then you can have all your Saturday. You can have your Saturday back. Enough for me.
Trump's name appears in the files. You said you don't know the number of times Trump's name appears in the files. Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
I don't know.
Would it be good for the FBI to interview Michael Wolff?
I just don't know.
Has FBI subpoenaed the tapes that Michael Wolff has conducted of Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know. I'll accept your representation. I don't know.
Director Patel, has the FBI reviewed the $1.5 billion in suspicious bank transactions flagged to the government relating to Epstein and his co-conspirators?
I don't know.
How many times did the president's name appear?
I don't know.
It's your testimony. You do not know that answer.
A number of times, no.
With regard to prejudice against Catholics, what happened in the Big Hindu Temple there in New Jersey?
I don't know, sir.
Were you instructed that it was important to release the documents to the Oversight Committee on the day of my introduction of the discharge petition to release these files?
I don't know what day that was.
And if the Biden administration targeted Catholics, could I have been targeted by the Ray FBI as well?
I don't know. I just don't know.
He doesn't know, folks. He just doesn't know. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me for 1 hour and 12 minutes. Thank you, Michelle, for popping in. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for anyone who is not in the chat and who just viewed for a minute or two. I appreciate that as well. Please hit the thumbs up. Please share this video. Please come back next Saturday. We may have some other stuff to talk about. I know I ramble a lot, but it's okay. You can just pop in for a couple of minutes. Those times when I'm not rambling. But anyway, enjoy your Saturday. Go touch some grass, get some sun, and all of that. Talk to you later. Again, thank you guys. Thank you everyone in the chat. Have a good evening. Have a drink. Yeah, have a drink.